What's up, everybody? You're tuned in to the Arrowhead Chief Podcast, episode 179. Chiefs off season, draft time almost coming up, people. Got one more week. We got a lot of things to get in. Got my guy Ash in here, man. We about to talk shop a little bit, talk a little Andy Reid, a little Rashee Rice, a little Patrick Mahomes, and we're gonna give our big board going into the draft. So let's talk Chiefs.
Yeah, Arrowhead Chiefs. It's your girl, Miss Nicole. We in hustle, baby. Started from the bottom, now we here. My homie at the start of his career. Let's go. Try to warn him early, hear the truth. Tuning every Sunday for the juice. Arrowhead Chiefs podcast, bringing all the news. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Cris Style, out here rapping for the crew. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube.
And we are back, Arrowhead Chief Podcast, episode 179. What's going on, Ash? How you feeling, man?
Yo. Doing good, man. Doing good. Like you said, we're on the final stretch for the draft, and it's the most wonderful time of the year, is it not? A lot of interesting smoke screens being fluttered into Twitter sphere, and just who knows what you can trust these days, whether it's Bo Nix or Michael Penix reports and rumors, and what the Raiders are going to do, what the Broncos are going to do. Hey, it's all a show. So I'm having fun with it, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I can't complain at all. Like you said, man, it's a lot of rumors going on out there with the Chiefs even, you know what I'm saying? Some of the things that, they're thinking about doing. But we'll get into them in a minute. All right, man, let's talk about Rashee Rice, man. Now, last time we talked, we didn't have all the full information. The whole situation that just happened that Sunday morning, I want to say. Yeah. But since then, a lot has gone on. He was charged with one count of aggravated assault, one count of collision involving serious bodily injury, and 6 counts of collision involving injury. He had to turn himself in. He turned himself in. He ended up bonding out. So it was the quick, just go in, turn yourself in, sign some paperwork, get up on out of there. But he is being sued by the victims for $1 million in actual damage and $10 million in punitive damages by the victims. That is Medicare, physical pain and suffering, loss of hearing, hearing capacity, mental aneurysms, and property damage of $71,162.61. So, least to say that my man's going to be lighting the pockets this year.
For a little bit.
Yeah. He's not going to have, he's only making like $1.2 million this year. So I don't know where he's going to get this money. I'm sure he's going to have to reach a settlement somewhere in the middle. So I could see him missing 4 to 6 games possibly with this whole situation going on. What are your thoughts when you hear all this information?
I mean, honestly, how it all when it was starting to kind of unravel itself out, and you started to see like he was coming forward and he was the one kind of claiming responsibilities, came out straight up, said that he was the one to drive. And so the thing that really I took away from that was that the accountability that he at least came forth with and was like, they didn't try to play the legal game of like, oh, why did you try to put it on a fall man? Like, there's something to the character of him to like go about it the way that he's doing it now, which I respect. And I mean, I think that's kind of what got Kareem Hunt in trouble, was apparently like he didn't get in front of it and kind of like sees kind of how that was going to play out. And apparently he wasn't completely truthful with the whole deal. So the way that Rashee Rice is approaching this, outside of the, fleeing the scene, I think he's doing this the Andy Reid way, and that weird way to kind of describe it, but taking accountability in this way that, I did this, that's on me. guess it's minimal. I mean, those are pretty hefty charges in terms of what he's getting sued for, but it could have been a lot worse is kind of where I'm at with this. And I think the way that he's approaching it is going to help him when it comes to like league punishment. So at the end of the day, I think we're looking at, probably the 4 to 6 range in terms of games missed, but that's gonna be a hefty bill that he's gonna have to pay, no matter how much he settles it for. So, just glad nobody got too hurt, and we can just chalk this up as a bad joyride and a really expensive Lamborghini rental. We'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's just good thing nobody got seriously hurt, like you said. And like I said before, his pockets are going to be lighter. He's going to be eating Tom ramen instead of filet mignon. So
he's going to have rookie lifestyle for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Because that pocket's going to be a little empty this year. So, but hey, that's the price you pay when you do certain things. That's reckless. You gotta.
Right.
You gotta pay the price, though. All right, man. Let's talk about Andy Reid, man. Yesterday, him and Patrick Mahomes had a little Zoom presser type deal. Some of the things that stuck out to me, of course, they're gonna ask him about Rashee Rice. How they handle all the legal process. They're so used to it now with the Tyreek Hill situation, with Kareem Hunt, with a few other players that, they just sit and wait for all the information to come in, and then, they make their decisions from there, what they're going to do. I don't think it doesn't sound like they're going to do anything drastic, cut him or anything like that. I think that, they're just going to let due process happen. Him go through the, process of whoever he has to pay and all this good stuff, the suspension from the NFL. But it looks like, he's still going to do offseason program and, all the Zoom stuff, all the, play calls and stuff, new installs that they're learning or whatever. I'm sure he's still going to be a part of that. So that's one thing I took away from Andy Reid. Another thing is something that's, everybody's been wondering in Chiefs game is left tackle. And he talked about Wanya Morris, being a player that knows, the position, he knows what to do, but there will be competition at that spot. Now, whether that be through the draft, whether it be free agency, whether it be both. Maybe they draft somebody and still bring a guy in. But there will be competition at that left tackle spot. So we all figured that would happen. I would have been surprised if they were just going to hand Wanya Morris the job like that. I figured they would bring a veteran in or another rookie to push Wanya. And if Wanya wins it, outright, that's a good sign. That means that he's, took it to another level from year 1 to year 2. So we'll see on that. And then Luis Rees-Zammit said he's going to be a running back and a special teams guy. So that's going to be his role for right now. Andy Reid talked about the process of him transitioning from rugby to football, American football. And he said something about his father used to play European in the European League in football. So I guess Lewis is used to, he's not, he's familiar with the game. So that's a good thing. So we'll see, has play call, him picking up the playbook and all that stuff, how he could process all that good stuff. So running back is a good spot for him to, learn. And he should be able to pick that stuff up pretty fast. It's more so about learning protections and, how if he pick the right hole to hit when he's, running behind the offensive line. So, and then we got another Andy Reid putting insurance in Kadarius Toney. They believe Kadarius Toney, and that the only thing about him is just getting on the field. So
what you got? Good thought, kid.
We'll see. We shall see on Kadarius Toney. But what's your thoughts from some of the stuff that I just went through as far as Andy Reid goes?
Yeah, man, great summation. I was really the things I took away were like how upfront he was about the left tackle position and how he's like, oh yeah, no, we're bringing in competition here. And it's not even necessarily, we believe in Wanya. We think he's
Yeah.
the job. It's like, nah, man, like that's still wide open. And I think he has his eye on somebody, and we could save that for a little bit later. But I think it's just go time. This team is all in on three-peat, and this is you could kind of already tell. Like, I don't remember who it was I came across, but one of the players were talking about how already in just the groups and how the mentality is around the team. It's like they're already more psyched up than they were last year. And last year they were saying how psyched up they were before the year before that. So there seems to just be a really big all hands on deck energy right now. And I mean, the fact that he brought up Kadarius Toney and it was like, yeah, he's still with us. And like, we're just going to see if he can make it to the field at this point. Because I mean, he is their best wide receiver talent wise, in my opinion. And so the fact that they haven't let him go yet means that they're still going to try to juice this lemon and see what we can get out of it.
Yeah.
Again, with these kickoff returns and with that could be a whole different, we don't even really grasp like what that can become to this game, especially considering that we have Dave Tobe, who's considered, an elite special teams coordinator out there in terms of effectiveness and history of production and creativity back there. So like, who knows what they're going to draw up with the fact that they got this new rugby cat and Kadarius Toney and whatever else they're going to get throughout the draft. So, hey, it really just got me more fired up than anything else. Like, wow, this offseason really moves fast. Like the Super Bowl wasn't that long ago, and we're already
it wasn't that long ago.
And so
it wasn't.
It's cool. I'm about it, and I think, I think they're feeling good where they're at. I think they're looking at offensive tackle. I think they're looking at wide receiver in terms of, what they're probably going to be searching for in this draft coming up. And I think based on kind of what their roster's at, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And then Patrick Mahomes, he had his press conference, and he one thing that stuck out to me was how he was surprised by Hollywood Brown's route running. Said he was pleasantly surprised by his route running because, people on the outside looking in when they think of Hollywood Brown, they think of what? Fast guy. You know what I'm saying? Right. They think I saw Mark Bowichter said he's McCall Hardman. And I disagree with that. I think he's a better receiver than McCall Hardman ever will be. But I've heard other aficionados who, actually watch film and all that stuff, and they say Hollywood Brown is a very good route runner, and he has an extensive route tree. The knock on him is what he's 5'10", 5'9". He's 180 pounds possibly, so he's a smaller guy. So off top, you just think he's a small, fast guy, but he's actually runs good routes. So that's going to be something that's good. And Patrick talked about that. Even I think Andy Reid talked about how they can use him and move him around and use him in different spots. And that's something that this offense really needs. We've been missing that since we lost to Tyreek Hill. No, Hollywood Brown isn't Tyreek Hill, but he can be used in that type of capacity because he does have deep speed that even MVS didn't have. You couldn't move MVS around. You could only run MVS on deep routes and post routes. So he's not as limited as the MVS. So that's a good thing to hear. He also talked about how he sees the hunger in some of the wide receivers because right now there's OTAs. They've been in Camp Mahomes. That's what I call it. Camp Mahomes out in Texas. You see Scott Moore. You see Kadarius Toney. Rashee Rice was there. You see Hollywood Brown. You see what's his name? Nikio Regimio. Yeah. He was out there. Nice. Anthony Miller was out there. We had an Anthony Miller sighting.
Wait, I missed that. Anthony Miller's out there?
Yeah. Huh. They signed him in the offset. They signed, those future
Look
reserve.
I'm here for it, man. I liked Anthony Miller coming out.
I liked him coming out the draft too. I thought he was going to be something, man.
I did too.
But
okay, well, here's the chance. Let's go.
he knows Nagy, he knows the system. So being with Nagy, so we'll see. But he's out there, and like I said, they've been doing this for the past 2 years, where they go work out with Mahomes instead of going to the facilities. They go out there with Mahomes. He's out there pretty much coaching them up, telling them where they need to be. They're getting that rapport so he can learn where these guys like to go in certain spots and stuff. And hopefully this is the year that it clicks for Sky Moore. Hopefully it clicks with Sky Moore this year. You know what I'm saying? And we get all the reports that were coming about Sky Moore, because it wasn't just people in Chiefs. It was a lot of other people, a lot of pundits who loved Sky Moore, and Sky Moore this, and Sky was this, and Sky was that. And he had a very productive senior year at Western Michigan. But, sometimes it takes some guys a little longer to, it click, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully year 3, it clicks for Sky Moore. So those are some of the interesting things I took away from Mahomes. Yeah. Also, he talked about Rashee Rice too. He said he's been communicating with him even since the whole situation, still communicating, still building that rapport with him. But Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Mr. Mahomes and everything he said?
I'm just a big Camp Mahomes guy. We can't get enough of that footage of like who's all out there, and I'm just curious. Like, there's got to be someone, like the same way that Rashee kind of snuck in last year. Like, someone's got to be out there. Like, which one of these receivers has been working out there too? So, but no, I really like how Hollywood's seizing this opportunity, and it really seems like he's taking this the right way in terms of how he needs to. It's like, he's that 1 year prove it deal, and he's coming in and he's earning Mahomes' trust. And with Rice getting out of there, this room needs a leader more than ever. And he seems to really be taking that and running with it. So whether that's, what the next few years, whether that's a contract with us or that's somewhere else, it's in his best interest to do everything that he's doing so far and really capitalize on this year with a wide receiver 1 opportunity. And yeah, I'm all about it. I'm super curious to see what happens with Tony and with Sky Moore. And are those players, do they warrant? Because what we talked about last show, right, is like we don't really have a lot of position or a lot of spots open in that room as is. Like, if they keep Justin Watson, if they keep Sky Moore, or some of these future contracts, if they pull something out. So I think maybe there was only room for one more addition from a rookie perspective. I mean, it depends on if Rice is really in trouble. But yeah, I think all systems are a go, and I feel good about where things are at. And I'm going to feel really good where things are at about 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. And, guys because I know Justin Ross was out there too. He's another guy that, we'll see how he looks in year 3. I mean, this is technically year 3 for him, but I counted it year 2 of him being on the field. You know what I'm saying? Everybody took it as, he's had a year. He got to read the playbook, and he probably did, but it's one thing for reading the playbook and seeing and being on there. You know what I'm saying? So, and then he missed some games last year. And he missed some games with the whole situation, the legal situation with his girlfriend. So he missed some time. So that kind of hindered, his growth too. So we'll see if he has grown. If he could take that leap and look anything like he looked at Clemson, oh man, we struck gold, people.
Right.
If he looked like 85% of what he looked like Clemson, then we've struck gold. So because
he's that big body, he's that big body receiver that this team currently doesn't have. And this offense hasn't had in a while, and could be very valuable as Kelsey is on the way out and can be that consistent, dependable possession option.
Right.
Yeah. Just depends on what this offense looks like going forward. Specific roles are going to need to materialize over this next 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah, and then like you said, this room is going to be interesting because we don't know if we're still going to bring a veteran in after the draft or maybe a couple of days before the draft. I think they're waiting for the draft to see how the board falls and see how what guys we take. I wouldn't be surprised if we add somebody after the draft if the Tyler Boyd thing is smoke, or if what I'm saying, if they're really going to sign him. Maybe they do go get Odell if it doesn't work out with the negotiations with Miami, or somebody else. They might bring in a veteran in this room.
Mm-hmm.
So spots are going to be limited. I think this is going to be a big camp for Sky Moore. This is going to be a big camp for Kadarius Toney too. Like, these guys are going to be battling now for that 5th and maybe the 6th spot. I don't know how many receivers they want to keep this year, because they kept 7 last year. Maybe this year they're like, I don't know. I don't know if we want to keep that many receivers. It didn't work out. So they might limit it to 5 spots. So, and if it's 5 spots, then somebody's getting cut and maybe see themselves on the practice squad. So we'll see.
Right, if you were to guess right now, who's more likely to not be on the Week 1 roster between Toney and Moore?
That's a difficult one. That's tough.
Or do you think they both make it?
I could see them both making it.
Okay.
I could see them both making it, because I just think they're so different from each other. They do different things. Like, Sky is a slot receiver. That's what he is. He's a slot guy, and everybody's enamored because his release is so cold. Like, he can get off the line. It's just he do too much. I'm trying to get off the line.
I think he's just gonna chop at his feet, man.
Yeah,
he's he got the aesthetics down.
Yeah. So yeah, and so, but Kadarius, he's not the greatest route runner per se, but he's just a talent. He's just, when he has the ball in his hand, he's explosive, and he can make 2 or 3 guys miss. So
that's incredible.
It is. So I just think it's, like I said, it's gonna be. If anybody's seen The Dark Knight, when the Joker snapped the pool stick and said we're about to have tryouts, I think that's what it's about to be between Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. Like, we're going to have tryouts, man. Whoever comes out of that, it's going to be part of the team. So I think that Sky Moore has more leash than Kadarius Toney. Like, if Kadarius Toney comes out week 1 training camp and he pulls a hamstring, it's over. Get him out of there. He's done. He's done.
If he gets another hamstring injury, my God.
Because remember, going into last season, James Palmer, he was the one saying that the Chiefs thought he was a number 1 wide receiver. He's the guy.
That was the plan.
He's the number 1. That was the plan. And then
Detroit.
We didn't even start training camp yet. It was like the whistle hadn't even blown yet. Like, he was out there catching some punts, and then he just tweaked his hamstring. And it was over. And I was like, what? Already? Come on, Kadarius. And it's like, you can't. I mean, it's not all his fault. Injuries suck. You can't predict.
But every year this happens to this man. Yeah. This has been the story since the Giants. Even Florida to a certain extent. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a reason that he's still here. Like, they see what they have in him. I mean, there's talent in this room. There really is. I mean, he's a first-round talent for a reason. It's just about getting the most out of him. And I didn't see it, but I should actually look that up now. But I'm hoping they didn't have the same wide receiver coach that they did last year, Alan Embry.
I think he's still there.
I think he's still there. I'm thinking about it. Brutal.
And if it is, and I think they're thinking, like, maybe, year 2, he'll take a step up as a coach and whatever. I don't know.
Whatever.
I think they should have switched it. I think they should have put Todd Pinkston as the wide receiver coach, personally.
He's running backs, ain't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe you switch him. Maybe make him running back. They did that with Greg Lewis. They made Greg Lewis the running back coach.
Yeah, Brian Westbrook coming in as offensive line coach, I guess.
For real. So we'll see, man.
Oh. All right, cool.
So
yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's get into these draft boards, man.
Let's do it.
We'll go ahead. You want to start? You want me to start? How you want to do this?
How are you feeling it, man? So yeah, I went my list kind of just in order. I was doing a bunch of mocks in terms like who I'm seeing in certain spots that I like, and I've really kind of solidified myself on this first pick of like who I'm pretty sure they're looking at and who they're wanting to go
And
for.
there's your
And
list.
yeah, and there we go.
All
So
right,
yeah, you want
go
to
through
go
it.
back and forth, or you want me to run through this?
Just run through it. Just to, tell me why why you like these guys on your list right now.
Cool. All right. So, first and foremost, I really thought about it in terms of what they're probably looking at 32, if they're trying to go up, if they're trying to move down, what have you. That got confusing. So, I'm just saying if we're going to stay at 32, we're probably going to go for a position at need. And I'm really, really, really just zeroing in on Kingsley. And I think if the more you look into him, you're going to see the man just checks all the boxes that I feel Andy Reid is looking for in this tackle. He's played both sides. He's got great length. He's got great size. He's got great athleticism. I think he'd be amazing in these little screens and just getting him out into space. He went to BYU. That tends to help with Andy Reid. He loves him
Yeah.
some Mormons. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to be what they're looking for at that position. Can definitely develop a lot from more of a strength perspective. And he generates power, but it seems to be more from a momentum standpoint in terms of like just utilizing his leverage and utilizing his body, and not as much as just a pure strength standpoint. So if we're going to stay to a more pass-friendly West Coast Andy Reid typical offense, I would see this type of tackle really molding well into kind of what they're looking for out of this position. So, yeah, I would love a wide receiver here, but I think with this position group, it's a top-heavy offensive tackle class, whereas with wide receivers, it's much more scattered throughout. You can get someone in the day twos, day threes, and I believe I have some of those guys on this list as well. But I'm thinking if I were to just bet as is right now, I would say probably Kingsley is going to be the most probable from where I'm looking at it. And then if I want to go the other way with it, I felt number 2 would make sense to go with Adonai, because as I started to reflect after our previous pod and started to go into these guys a little bit more, I got really enamored with what Adonai would bring to this offense, and just kind of I started watching him again and seeing what he's good at and what would be beneficial for this. And man, whether it's from the speed perspective, that would just open up this offense completely and take the safeties deep. With you got Brown going all over the place as well, so he's going to be testing defenses, and I think just bringing back that deep threat that the team has lacked since Tyreek has been gone. That element of offense will just open up a whole bunch of other stuff with them, especially if we can bring in some good running back talent as well. But yeah, and then I also started to realize I kept seeing him win on slants, and I started to recognize like this would probably be the best slant option on the Chiefs since Dwayne Bowe. Like the way that his body's shaped and how he's explosive he is, and like I liked his setups that he was doing on him. He was doing good in the red zone with him too, whether it was like little back shoulder fades or little sideline toe touches, or just the dude's nice with it, man. He really, really is. And I've been a fan of his since the second half of this season. Yeah, no, I think he'd be a great fit for this offense. I've talked myself into not necessarily wanting to go wide receiver at 32, but I would say if there's any wide receiver we would go at that position or at that spot, I would feel best if it was Mitchell, just because I think he unlocks more than most at this position. And
okay.
Yeah, I know he was on your list. Do you want to touch on him now, or you want to wait till it's your time?
No, go ahead and run through your list, man.
All right. So if we did go Kingsley though, and we went Kingsley at first, then we would need that wide receiver. So that's where I think in this next round, in the second round, 64, if we can score Pearsall, Ricky P. Dude's nice with it, man. He's smooth, he's shifty, he's fast. And it started to dawn on me as I was like recollecting on him. He's got some Odell to him. So, I mean, this aspect to like bringing in Odell after the draft, why not bring a younger, probably faster at this point, less injury prone Like, I think he brings a lot that Odell would with not an Odell contract. And yeah, I like just how he moves. I like his explosiveness. He's shifty. He runs the ball, and I think he could bring a lot to this offense from a weapon perspective. And at the end of the day, that's just what we need more of. And not quite as explosive downfield as Adonai, but I think at the end of the day, he threatens at each level to the point that defenses are going to have to account for him as soon as they start to give him the ball. I know Eddie likes to kind of taper off a little bit. But yeah, if we can get him on the fast track, I think he could be a weapon in multiple ways. So I liked him in the second. And then just kind of the tier.
I saw him working out. I saw him working out with Tyreek. I saw him working out with Tyreek Hill too. So
he's I think he's going to be somebody at this next level. I'm definitely going to be targeting him in like dynasty drafts and just overall wherever he ends up. Teams are probably.
I got Cooper Kupp vibes from him.
Yeah, I can see it. I think he's faster. I think he's shiftier. I think he's faster. He's not as good of a route runner, or as big as Bolt. But I think he can get open almost as good as him. Yeah. Cooper Kupp's nasty with it, though. I really liked him coming out. But yeah, no, big Ricky guy. Dwayne Carter, just felt that we could use some interior help at this point from the defensive side of things. Haven't been a naughty guy for years now. I think Mike Dana's he's not a defensive tackle, but he's a pass rusher, and he's an interior pass rusher. So at the end of the day, I think we're missing just bulk and missing just that interior presence. We got Mike Pennell back, and he looked
right.
I'm just gonna keep talking about how good he looked in the Super Bowl. Just like dude was like was in the best shape of his life. I was like, yo, this dude is stock.
Well, they called him late in the season, so he was healthy. He's ready to go.
Dude, he's been training the whole season to just play playoffs. It was awesome. But he's on the roster, so maybe we get more of him. But Dwayne Carter, not much of a finesse guy, very much so power based, very much so forward. I didn't really like how he moves laterally. It's he kind of just like a crab, like sidewalk. He's not very shifty and move, but he's so big, like it's going to be hard for him to dodge. But if he's just moving forward or like a one gap penetration, he can make some plays, and he has a great hustle. And he was a captain throughout the team for I think it was the last 3 years. So high character guy, high energy guy, high production guy. So I was a big Dwayne Carter fan. Then we got Jalen Wright, who I don't know if there would be a pick in this draft that I would be more ecstatic about than if we secured like Jalen Wright in the third. And I would even probably be willing to, I don't think Beach would ever do it, but if we got him in the second, I wouldn't hate it. But if we can secure Jalen, what's that?
I say him or Polk, I wouldn't be mad at.
Yeah. I mean, I just think he would bring something to this offense that we haven't had since Jamal Charles. And there's a lot of similarities to how they run. I mean, no one's ever going to be JC, but at the end of the day, he'll flip the field immediately. And he benefited a lot from an open offense in Tennessee, like a lot of light boxes that he was able to take advantage of and just run off on. But at the end of the day, this offense doesn't really have a big player as is outside of, Hollywood Brown. But I just think we're in a place where we need more home run options. And Jalen Wright could definitely be what that would be for this offense, specifically in screens and little outside zone plays. Just big Jalen Wright guy. And yeah, Jalen McMillan, just another option. If we didn't get Pearsall, if we didn't get Mitchell, we still had a wide receiver need at the end of day 2, beginning of day 3. I think McMillan would be a great fit for what this offense could use. I didn't quite love the comp, but when I was watching him, I kind of felt a little like Tyler Lockett in terms of separation, in terms of getting open and just being able to make plays deep and just finding the gaps that are necessary in the offense. He's a better yak player than Tyler Lockett was, so that's kind of why I'm struggling with it. Tyler Lockett just falls down whenever he doesn't have whenever he's running with it. So McMillan's much more physical than that. But in terms of kind of what I think he could bring to the passing game, I saw a lot of Lockett for, I don't know, it's just something that kept sticking up for me. But I like him, just needs to bulk up a little bit more, could use more physicality. And I think that just goes with most rookies these days. But as far as a baller, as far as someone who can go and get it, I liked him. And I really like this next guy, Javon Baker, someone who just goes and gets the ball. Could be a little too similar to Rashee Rice in terms of playing style, but at the end of the day, Rashee Rice won us a Super Bowl. I don't see that being a bad thing to bring more of that type on board, especially when at the end of the day, you have the best quarterback probably of all time. So you just need to give him options that he can depend on consistently. So with that, big Javon Baker guy, he goes up, he wins, and he gets open, and when he gets the ball, he does stuff with it. So that's who I would go with there. And then Jared Wiley, day 3 target, hopefully if he drops. Just a weak tight end class outside of Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers would be the number 1 weapon that could possibly be added to this team, but that's probably unlikely, so we won't spend much time there. But the other tight end that I would want to get in this class besides him would be Jared Wiley. And former quarterback, athletic guy. You could see he reads the defense similar to kind of how Kelsey in a way does, because he was also a previous quarterback who was just very smart in terms of what the defense is trying to do to stop him. So I saw a little bit of that when I was watching Wiley, and that like he's been the only one that I've been like, oh, I like him in this group. So I'm starting to kind of circle in on Jared Wiley as my personal tight end in this draft. But yeah, moves well, doesn't move great, but moves well enough, good enough athlete to make me feel that he could come in as a day 3 guy or tight end 3 and challenge Noah Gray by the beginning of next year. And who knows, maybe we'll have something going in a tight end committee from there. And then, yeah, just to finish him off, Cameron Kitchens, he was just a baller. I really liked what Mike Edwards brought to this team. I think he was probably one of our best, if not our best value signing in terms of the agency class from last year. He's no longer here, so we're going to have to replace him with somebody. I know Chamari Connors absolutely deserved more enough snaps to make it happen out there. But I like having a deep safety room, and I think Veach is very much so capable of finding the ones who are going to play that role. I think Nick Jones played a little bit of safety in training camp last year, or maybe it was last year. I don't know. But yeah, makes plays, hits hard. Not the best athlete, but knows where he needs to be, and he's just a ball hawk with it. So I think he's probably going to drop a little bit because of his athleticism numbers. So I would like to take advantage of that, hopefully on like the 4th or 5th if it happens. But we'll see. We'll see. Just one of those guys that if it pops up and he went to the Chiefs, I'd be really happy. And then finally, Tyrone Tracy. A lot of similar things to what I like about Jalen Wright. Explosive, big play guy. I think he tried to bounce it outside and make it more than it was more often than not. So maybe a little bit more running discipline from him as just an overall running back. But that comes with time. And I think that the Chiefs have the staff to be able to teach him better habits per se. And I'm just not a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan, and I don't want him to have a roster spot. So I'm all about investing in the running back class in this class. I think there's some pretty decent talent scattered throughout it. I think Beach has an eye on at least one. But yeah, they've been very quiet in terms of upgrading that room when it wasn't really it wasn't that productive of a room to begin with last year. I just think it could definitely use some investment, and those are my 2 guys I'd really like, and those are just going to be big play, home run threats who defenses are going to have to respect, and just makes things open up for all the other options in this offense. So, yeah, those are my guys. If any of those guys make it on the team, it would have an automatic A grade for me. So those are me.
Cool. I like the list. I like it.
Thanks.
All right. So let me pull mine list. All right, these are the guys that I have. Now, Number one. Now, Brian Thomas Jr., I know we would have to trade up to go get him. So this is more so me saying you got to go up to 17 to go talk to Jacksonville, or go to 19 and talk to the Rams, try to formulate a trade with one of those two teams, get Brian Thomas Jr., 6'3", 207 pounds, have over 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns with LSU last year. This kid is a baller. If you put Brian Thomas Jr. on this team, he is going to be a playmaker on this team. He is the big receiver that we need, but he is fast. I mean, he's smooth with his fastness, and he can run routes. You know, I know a lot of people was paying attention to Malik Neighbors on the other side, but Brian Thomas Jr., just like how Malik Neighbors might be like a Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas Jr. has, I'm not trying to put all this, put this pressure on him, but he has Jamar, he has Justin Jefferson type vibes to me. Like the kid is just, he's explosive and he can get open. So, and he's just a playmaker. So I would love us to trade up to go get this guy and make a move for him.
So you would feel good. So that would probably take another first, right?
I don't.
Is there a line you would draw to say like that was too much to go get Brian? Because I like him too. I was just curious. Like I don't know. I'm scared to invest.
I don't think at 19 we'd have to go first and 2 first-round picks at 19. Like I think we can get away with like a first and maybe a fourth, or a first, maybe a fourth and a third next year. One of those 2 third-round picks from next year, the one from the Tennessee Titans. Maybe we can use that to move up and go get Brian Thomas Jr. at 19. So. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like if he was like if we had to go up to like 9 with Chicago. Yeah, we're gonna have to give up 2 first-round picks.
Okay.
And if we're going up that far, we might as well just go get Joe Alt or somebody like that. Like,
please go get Brock Bowers. Please, Brett Beach. I beg you.
We might as well just go get Romeo Dunza if we're gonna do all that. So,
nice.
So yeah, at 19, if we trade up 19, I think we could possibly get Brian Thomas Jr. I'm with you on Adnan Mitchell. I think the kid is a playmaker himself. I actually have him as a kind of a poor man's Brian Thomas Jr. Same size, pretty much same speed. Both of them ran a 4. One ran a 4.33, one ran a 4.34, and it shows up on tape. He was on the other side of other guy that I'm about to mention. Big body receiver, can go up and get it, high point the ball, but he has speed and he has good route running ability. You expound on it that he's good running slants. He will be good in the red zone. And that's something that we really need. And at the end of the day, he's a playmaker, and that's what we need. We need some playmakers on this team. Number 3, Xavier Worthy, the guy who broke the 40-time record with the 4.21. So he has crazy speed, close to Tyreek Hill speed. You put Xavier Worthy in his offense, and we're going to get that explosive offense that we've been clamoring for the past 2 years. It's going to be like, it's going to give Tyreek Hill vibes again with him. And, Andy Reid is going to do everything he can to move this kid around and use him in all kinds of facets. And he can run routes. He's not just some fast guy. The kid can run routes. Go watch the tape. He's not just some deep threat. The kid can move. You can use him in all levels of the field. You have him and Hollywood Brown with Rashee Rice and whoever else you want to put out there. And I'm telling you, his offense will be explosive again, and Mahomes will be back out there having fun again, because I think he wants some explosiveness, because I think he gets bored in the regular season. So those guys. Now, I think Adnan Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, we would have to possibly trade up to like 27, 26 to go get those guys. I don't think they'll drop to 32. I would be surprised if they drop to 32. So what was you about to say?
My only thing with Worthy, because I've being in Texas, I remember seeing him when he was a freshman, and he was going off then, and he's each year has produced. So that's always been a green flag for sure. But with and he does run great routes. He's not just a speed demon. But I do feel that he is quite similar to what Hollywood's already providing. So that's kind of where I was thinking, would that be something that Veach and Andy would go about? Just because I feel like they like to have variety of different types of receivers and different types of weapons throughout their arsenal. So with Worthy, I mean, again, 4.2, the 4.2 speed is very appealing, and fans have definitely missed that Tyreek Hill presence since it's left. And I don't know, just I haven't found myself able to fully hop on the Xavier Worthy bandwagon for whatever reason. It just depends on how this team is really going to want to be built going forward. But I won't be mad at it if we end up with him. They'd be like, okay, this could get fun fast.
Well, the thing about that is, right, with Hollywood Brown, I was thinking you get Xavier Worthy, you get him, those two for a year, 1 year, you let Hollywood Brown walk. Now you still got that element with Xavier Worthy. Now he could just step in and provide you with whatever Hollywood Brown, provide you this season coming up. So he can kind of just, how they always plan ahead and, plan for the future. So they always draft the guy who's going to replace the guy. So my other guy, if we're sitting at 32, Ladd McConkey. The kid killed it at the Senior Bowl. He was routing everybody up. You won't see the numbers on, at Georgia because it's Georgia and they just loaded that Brock Bowers and they had running backs. They had everything at Georgia. So the kid didn't get all the God numbers that you would like to see, but the kid, when he did make plays, you saw the explosiveness from Ladd McConkey on the field. And like I said, at the Senior Bowl, he was routing everybody up. He looked good on the field. His route tree is extensive. He has a little speed to him, ran a 4.3, 940, and it shows up on the field too. So the kid, he has promise, and he'll definitely be a good guy who could work inside and outside on the field. So I wouldn't mind Ladd McConkey. They picked him at 32 or even traded back into the high second round and still pick Ladd McConkey. I would not be mad at that pick.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking for him. And I will say real quick, he's who I was thinking of for Cooper Kupp. I think he moves really similar to how Cooper was doing out of college. Just very, very direct and very shifty, but explosively shifty. And really great change of directions. And the dude, I mean, he was number one receiver at Georgia. Like that alone, that profile type, it should be worth something. And
no, it should.
Yeah, dude's a stud. I'm a big fan, but I do think if we could get him, it would be after a trade down because he's like in that tier, that little pocket of that tier 3-ish receivers. But could be a tier 2 guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I'm with you on Kingsley. How you say his last name?
You go for it.
I don't even know how to say it. But what I'm talking about. Kingsley from BYU. I'm with you on that. The kid, he's a big guy, athlete, can move. He played a lot of right tackle at BYU, but I feel like he has the skills to move to the left side. He's, a little raw with his, some of his movement, but who better to have Andy Reid and Andy Heck to teach him and mold him to be the left tackle of the future for Patrick Mahomes. And then the next guy I think is also he actually played left tackle, Patrick Paul, 6'7", 331 pounds from Houston. Kid is an athlete himself for the size that he is. The guy has long arms. He's huge guy. And I think that, we can get him probably second, maybe third round. We can mold him into the guy. Even if we sign a veteran, maybe we let him sit. I don't know. And then let him and Wanye battle it out next year. But I like Patrick Paul. I think the kid has promised to be a starter at left tackle. Number 7, this is more so with the L'Jarius Sneed trade. TJ Tampa out of Iowa State, 6'1", 189 pounds. I think he put a little bit more weight on and be that bigger corner. He's a physical guy, he can play press man and all that good stuff, and he's good at zone. I like this kid. I think he could possibly turn into. I'm not saying he's L'Jarius Sneed where he can put him on number one receivers. I think that's what Trent McDuffie's going to end up being, that guy. But if you can get similar traits from TJ Tampa that you got from L'Jarius Sneed, I think that's a win right there. Then you have Mika Wingo. He's an undersized defensive tackle, but he has pass rush ability. He's a guy that you could put next to Chris Jones and rush the passer on third down. He's a guy you probably could get in like the 4th or 5th round. Like him. Same thing with Michael Hall, 6'3", 290, kind of an undersized D tackle, but like I said, it can give you pass rush. I think, like I said, you can get both of these guys like around the 3rd or 4th round. I wouldn't be mad at either one of these guys. And then my last pick, I got Jalen Wright like you. I think the kid is a playmaker. He could catch the ball out the backfield. He could run between the tackles. He's a big play waiting to happen. And we need that really bad at the running back. I love Isaiah Pacheco, but sometimes I think Isaiah Pacheco looks for the running somebody over more so than making a big play. And we just need that guy with that breakaway speed that can just make that cut, hit the outside, and hit his head on the goalpost. So those are my 10 guys that
I like them.
So yeah, man, that's my big boy. Is there anybody else out there that you wasn't able to put on the list that you like?
I mean, there's so many receivers that I think that could definitely be a great fit. Again, it just really depends on what this identity is, what they're trying to make this identity going forward. Is this going to be that deep threat offense where we are bringing in Xavier Worthy to just add fireworks along with Hollywood Brown and just like really revitalize that deep passing game that has been missing the last few years? Or is it going to be, more intermediate to short yardage yak guys, and we're just create more of that West Coast offense that Andy Reid kind of comes from, and as Patrick has really molded into a completely elite and complete quarterback as this game manager, kind of letting the defense win and just focus more on keeping the ball moving and just all about, controlling the game and scoring eventually, but longer plays, longer drives. So are they going to try to shore up the offensive line a little bit more? So I was considering throwing JPJ in there, or throwing in maybe one of the guards or centers like that could play, that could provide some insurance, because one of these 3 interior foundational pieces that are currently a main piece of this team, they're not going to be there very much longer. So are they going to start to put some pieces in that's going to replace probably Tooney? If I were to bet, Tooney's gone. I think Cree's the one who remains, and Trey Smith is going to go get his money because he's a 6th round contract his whole career so far. And he's got the Peck deal, and he's a machine. He's been an absolute beacon of durability throughout his whole career. But at the end of the day, he is getting older. He is one of the top 5 paid guards, and with Patrick Mahomes on your contract list, like, is that going to be a feasible expense going forward with Nick Bolton needing a contract? And again, one of these other said that Cree's going to need a contract. So I think maybe we could get an interior guy that hasn't really been discussed as much. Maybe more of one of those high potential developmental interior guys would make sense. But I was thinking maybe one of the JPJs, but he would probably need to play to justify that. I mean, if I was playing Madden and I could just get anyone, I would get JPJ, put him at left guard, put Tooney at left tackle, and then have the best offensive line we've had probably. Willie Rofe and Brian Waters days.
Right.
But that's probably not gonna be allowed. And then not a huge edge guy. I'd like to see what we got with Felix first. Personally, I keep seeing people wanting to push. Why is his name escaping me? But if there wasn't anyone, Darius Robinson, edge, Missouri.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like him. I think they'd be a great addition if we went that route. I just don't like having 3 first-round defensive ends on my roster.
Me neither.
We can only play 2. Ominahu should be back by week 7. He's he's that rotational piece that's I think makes this whole thing stir. Well, Chris
Mhm.
Jones makes this whole thing stir, but
Of course, yeah.
in terms of like high-end investment into this team, I just don't like spending that much capital on a two-person position. And yeah, I haven't really dove into the linebackers yet.
Mm.
Nobody's really like stuck out to me from what I've seen. I'd like to like Peyton Wilson, but I don't like his injury history, so I haven't
Yeah,
really given myself up from that age. I've seen some
yeah, it's
Edgerrin
not.
Cooper just because, again, I'm in Texas and I got Aggies in my family, so I like him. He's good, but I don't know what they're going to do with Bolton. I'm feeling like they're going to keep him. So does that make sense to
I
even
think they're gonna
invest that
keep
high
him.
at that position? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think they re-signed Bolton. I know that
I did too.
he also had a press conference yesterday too, and they asked him
I missed
about
him.
that. And, he said something about he would love to stay at cheap. So I personally think they're gonna make that happen. Um, I don't think you have to break the bank for Nick Bolton. I mean, you got to pay him, but I think
Right.
you get him for a 3 year, I don't know, 50-60 million deal or something like that. And 20, 30, something guaranteed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think you got to break the bank for him. I think Nick Bolton is a really good player. I'm a Nick Bolton fan. I like Nick, but I know everybody's
Oh yeah.
split down the middle when it comes to Nick Bolton. You know what I'm saying? So you got your people who love him and you got the people that don't love him because of he's not a good coverage guy. But I think he's gotten better each year. Last year he had the hand injury, so it kind of hindered him a lot last year. But when he's healthy, the guy makes plays and he's all over the field in the run game, in the passing game. He's made key interceptions that we've needed, key sacks. Hell,
Super
in the
Bowl
Super Bowl
plays.
a couple of years ago, he would have been the MVP had that other, which I felt like was a fumble too. If he had he had ran that back in, he would have been the MVP to me for the Super Bowl over
I
Patrick
agree.
Mahomes. And I thought Patrick Mahomes had a sensational second half, considering that he had an ankle injury. But Nick Bolton has made significant plays. He's been since no, he's not Derek Johnson, but since Derek Johnson, he's been the best thing we've had at middle linebacker
Yep.
for a long time. Going from Anthony Hitchens to him, like, come on, man, what are we
Right.
talking about, man? Like,
I just
Anthony
think he's an
Hitchens,
extension of Spags to the point that
yeah.
if we are extending Bolton, that says a lot about the game plan with Spags, which I would assume is going to be the predecessor to Reid whenever he's ready to go. And then Mahomes just has his guy, whoever that is, on offensive coordinator, and they run that side of it.
Probably Nagy.
But yeah, him and Nagy can hold it down, I guess. But yeah, if Bolton remains, I think Spags remains as well, because I would just think that you're not going to invest in him and then risk seeing how he translates to another defense, because I don't think he fits in every defense, but he fits perfectly with what Spags is doing.
Unless you're saying that maybe a Dave Merritt maybe can take his job, or Joe Cullen could be the next defensive coordinator type and still run a similar system, possibly more so Merritt, because Merritt him and Spags have been together. You know what I'm saying? He was one of his corners in New York, so he knows his system to a T. So I'm sure he's gonna have different philosophies here and there, but I could see, because Nick, they speak so highly of Nick Bolton, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you've seen it, we've seen it in the mic'd ups, you've heard Nick Bolton. He gets those guys in order, you know what I'm saying? He sees it, you know what I'm saying? I love Drew Tranquil, and I love the signing of Drew Tranquil. He was a godsend last year when Nick Bolton was out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he provides certain things that Nick Bolton can't do in coverage and all that good stuff. And he's pretty good against the run too. I think Nick is probably better at the run than Drew, because he's a bigger guy. But But the IQ, I just think Nick has it, you know what I'm saying? And he just, I remember seeing the Jacksonville game mic'd up and that last play where Chris Jones got that sack. He was like, yo, Chris, just line up, find somebody. Just find somebody. Hey, you get over there. You like he gets everybody in place, and that's important. I know a lot of people look at linebacker and they think it's not an important piece on the field. You could just put in there and put anybody out there, but no, if you look around the league, a lot of teams struggle with their linebackers.
Yes.
A lot of teams. They
And then
have
their
not
defense
good.
struggles.
Yeah. Because that middle of the field is important, man. Like that's where a lot of teams attack nowadays. It's the middle of the field because nobody's scared to go across the middle no more because of the rules. You know what I'm saying? The rules have allowed wide receivers to roam freely and tight ends to roam freely and running backs, whatever, to roam freely across the middle. Whereas in 30, 40 years ago, you couldn't do that because you had a safety or a linebacker waiting for you in the middle to hit you, knock your block off. And not everybody wanted to do that. So,
I will say, I don't know if anyone's made this list yet, but I don't think anyone can name 3 better green sticker players in the NFL. Like in terms of like the coach on the field who is calling the shots from the defensive perspective. I don't know who people are going to want to put over. Maybe Fred Wagner.
Yeah, Wagner, maybe Roquan Smith, maybe Roquan.
Maybe.
I think Roquan is up. Roquan is up there. And like
Roquan's a nasty. He's a beast.
I know. We ran up the score on them in that AFC Championship game in the first half, but in that second half, him and Kyle Hamilton was all over. Him and Kyle Hamilton was making plays, man. Roquan is a nasty dude, man. I would put Roquan and Fred Warner over Nick Bolton, but it'll probably be those two and then Nick.
As linebackers for sure, but I'm curious. I haven't watched enough Baltimore games back to back to see is he the one really calling the shots out here? Or is it just really good Mike McDonald just blitzing?
True. No, but he was like
Bolton's
that.
Out here, nope, they're doing this. Snead, go here. You go here.
But he was doing that in Chicago too. He was doing that in Chicago when Roquan was in Chicago. He was making all those checks and all that stuff. Once he became the guy, once Khalil Mack left, he was the guy. So he was the one in the middle making all those checks and stuff. So
I'll take those two. Yeah.
I like Roquan. I like Roquan Smith. You know what I'm saying? Say what you want about him, but he's a baller. But no, Nick Bolton is a baller in his own right to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when we need that big play, he's made big plays throughout these years for us in big games and big situations. And our linebacker core, I love our linebacker. Even though we lost Willie, we still got Leo Chenal.
Very reasonable price too. That breaks my heart.
I know at $5 million, if I known he was only going to sign for that, I'd have definitely took Willie Gay back. But hey,
24.
It is what it is.
24 million in cap space still.
Yeah. So, but
something's gonna happen at the draft. Watch, we getting somebody.
Yeah, get Brandon Ayuk now to play.
That'd be nasty.
No, the 49ers ain't doing that.
Yeah, they ain't getting us somebody. We're on everybody.
Why? So they can see us in the Super Bowl and Brandon Ayuk is routing them up, routing Shavarius Ward up.
Oh man, that'd be great. So update. We now have 20.1 million in cap space. So we're in 14th place of most. So
and then
New England
you got to equate some of that money. Some of that money is going to go to like 8 million of that probably goes to draft picks. So
sure,
you deduct that from that and probably got like
extension.
Yeah, maybe an extension. I'm interested to see if they give Justin Reid an extension because he's making like 14 million, I think, this year. So I could see them extending him for a couple more years. Maybe they do the Creed Humphrey extension right now while they can get his number down or whatever. But yeah, I could see, like I said, Justin Reid, I would expect, they're not going to cut him. like everybody.
Right.
I think he's good when they play him in the position that he needs to play, and that's in the box. Safety. That's his thing. He's not a ball hawking safety. And the problem, I feel bad for Justin Reid in this sense is that a lot of people thought he was going to be the replacement for Tyrann Mathieu, and they're just two different type of safeties. like Tyrann Mathieu is a hybrid, and he's just he can hit, but He's just a playmaker, man. He just knows he has good instincts, man, and he just knows how to read the quarterback eyes and take that ball away. And that's just not Justin Reid's game. He's a bigger safety. He's like 6'1", 6'2", 215, 220. Yeah, he can hit though. He's a hitter now.
He does.
Yeah, he's a hitter, and he made some crucial hits in the playoffs. He stepped up, and he usually tends to step up towards the end of the season. He starts getting warmed up and revved up towards the end of the season. I know people have their doubts in coverage and whatever, but I thought he played better in coverage this year once the season went along, and he doesn't, he didn't. It wasn't like George Kittle went off or Likely went off or anybody like that went off in the playoffs.
They were all very contained, but then. That was one thing about Cameron Kitchens, though, that like the fact that when Brian Cook went down, because he was really hitting his stride too. I was really excited for him going into last year. I thought he was going to be kind of the breakthrough defensive player. Then he had the leg injury. But having that, there seemed to be like that was kind of the role of the safeties, right? Was that delivering the hits and delivering those types of plays. And I like that Kitchens would be a continuation of that and bring that to the floor as well. But I am a big Shamari Connor fan, and the fact that we keep getting these types of players in the 6th and 7th round is like I just completely released the wheel. I'm like, Veach is going to find somebody amazing, so I'm just going to trust the process in there. But I do like having just those types of archetypes coming out of the safety position, but could totally use a good center fielder, ball hawk.
Justin Simmons is still out there, man. I'm
That's
just
true.
saying.
That's true.
I'm surprised he ain't signed yet, man. I'm just saying, you get Justin Simmons maybe on a 1-year deal. Come over here and win the Super Bowl, Justin. Just come over here with us.
Third safety spot. But if we bring him in, he's going to cost
He's starting.
Like, who are we taking snaps from if we bring him in?
Probably Cook or Shamari Connor.
But I think Cook can develop into something nice.
But I think Cook is more in the mode of a Justin. Like, I thought Cook, like if you watch Cook at Cincinnati, he was more of a thumper. That's what he was. He was a thumper. He was a hitter. You know what I'm saying? Because he was in that same defense with Sauce Gardner and them. So like he was the hitter across the middle.
He was the chancellor.
He was the enforcer. He was the tone setter. So that's why I'm thinking like, Justin Reid costs $14 million. You could put Cook at his spot. He's younger. He's faster. So you put him there, and then put Justin Simmons in the free safety spot, and just let Shamari Connor kind of roam around in the slot. I'm just saying.
Just play that young Snead role.
Yeah,
what Snead did when he first came in.
I'm just saying. Shamari was good at blitzing the quarterback too this year. He made some key blitzes, and he looked like he could take the ball away too. So he made a crucial interception against Josh Allen in a regular season game where he picked the ball off. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting what they do in the secondary. I'm not too worried about the secondary too much with Trent there. I saw a ridiculous trade the other day where everybody has these ridiculous trades when they want to trade for Justin Jefferson, and it was like a first, another first from next year, a third, and Trent McDuffie. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you just got rid of Jerry Snead. Now you want to get rid of our other corner? You want to try
incredibly hard.
You want to trot Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams as our starters? No, we're not doing that.
And I would be completely down for if like one of the cornerbacks drop from this year's draft. Like if there's a big wide receiver run and then it happens to draft like the kid from Clemson, if he ends up dropping.
Nate Wiggins. If Wiggins is there.
Wiggins, I believe is
Nate Wiggins if he's there.
McKinstry. I'm a McKinstry guy.
Yeah. I think he's actually going to be
Mitchell. Who?
I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be there at 32. Personally, I do because he didn't. I don't think he tested that well. So, well, because he was hurt. He was hurt. He was hurt.
Right. But he's 6 foot, 200 pounds.
Yeah. Well, he's a smart player. No, he fits the system that Snead likes to run. Smart guy, physical. He's not the biggest, greatest athlete or anything like that, but the dude just knows how to play football. You know what I'm saying? And hey, there's nothing wrong with having those type of guys. I don't know if I would have won him at 32, but if you're gonna go get a guy, go get Quentin Mitchell, man.
That's gonna be a trade. Right. He's
or if you want to in the back half, there's some corners in this draft, like in the third round. There's a Cam Hart from Notre Dame. I like him. He's like 6'2", but he runs like a freaking gazelle. So Max Melton, I like that kid.
I was gonna say Max Melton.
I like him. I like him. He's a big guy too. So there's some guys in this draft that you can get. The kid from Missouri, wasn't that Rickshaw? He's not bad. I like him.
Jalen Simpson. I came across him for a little bit. See him doing something at Auburn.
There's the kid from Michigan that's coming out. He's pretty good. Like there's some corners in the later half of this draft that you can get that possibly can. Like I said, TJ Tampa. I mentioned him.
Yeah.
So
hey, if anyone's going to find him, it's going to be Brett Veach.
Oh, Veach is going to find him. I'm not worried about Veach finding a corner. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be surprised if he signs a veteran safety or a veteran corner, maybe an Xavier Howard. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he can bring him in. Maybe you bring in the Stephon Gilmore. He doesn't have to be Stephon don't have to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? He could just come in and just be that veteran guy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he could battle it out with a Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, and Najee Johnson. See what those kids. If he could push those kids into being the starters, then that's a good thing. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. I feel that. I think that's kind of where I'm sitting at as well. Just bringing in a veteran cornerback, grooming whatever he is in there, because there's already there's some promising players in last year's training camp that just didn't make it through. So there's talent out there, and then maybe drafting another one in the 7th. Who knows?
Yeah, why not? For sure.
One that could play both sides as a hybrid situation. But yeah, I'm all about that, and I think a veteran presence from outside the system that has some knowledge of different schemes and different ways to play the game can definitely be of use for this.
And that would help Trent too. That would help Trent too to have a veteran guy in his ear. Stephon Gilmore, who has played on a high level, Xavier Worthy, who has played on a high level. Those guys were top tier number one corners in this league, so they know what it is to be successful. And if you get those guys in the locker room to take Trent under the wing, just like, look, let me show you some stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's only going to take Trent's game to another. He's already a baller, but it's going to take him to another level. So there's a guy, defensive tackle, that I'm interested to see how he falls with his DUI situation. T'Vondre Sweat. Yeah. You talking about you want some beef in the middle of the field. You put him next to Chris Jones, then
he's a character. He's definitely a character.
But you know what? Sometimes you need those guys.
I like characters. Characters are fun.
You need those stuff. Now,
Chris Jones was a character.
Exactly. You don't want those guys drinking and driving. Get an Uber.
Right.
But those. You need some of those guys to inject some fun into the defensive line, some attitude, you know what I'm saying? So you get somebody like a T'Vondre Sweat, maybe he drops to the 3rd, 4th round, maybe because of a situation,
If we can scoop him in the 4th or 5th, I'm all for it. And I think that's kind of where it's headed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get that guy in the later rounds and put him next to Chris Jones or have him battle it out with Pennell and Noddy, hey, I'm all for it.
And you signed that. We didn't really touch on like the amount that Dana signed for, but that wasn't a small contract. Like
No, 3 years. 3 years was 3 years, 24 million.
Yeah, 24, 25. But like that's
Yeah.
they have a role catered to this man
Oh,
now. Like he is
they
that
love him.
third down pass rusher, maybe
Oh
even
yeah.
second down if it needs it. But like he's that piece that's doing it. So from a defensive tackle perspective, you're probably not needing someone who is that crazy pass rusher and run stopper. You need someone who just does their job consistently.
Yeah, just stuffs the run.
Yeah.
Just take up some double teams for Chris Jones so he can get to the quarterback type deal, because that's what T'Vondre Sweat would do. You get him in the middle, or somebody like a Chris Jenkins, somebody just in the middle. Chris Jenkins is a big guy, but he can also provide pass rush. So
yeah,
he could add that to the room too. But there's some guys that could take up space in the middle of the field with Chris Jones, rushing the passer, George Karloff just taking that next step, because I think George will take that next step. He had 10.5 sacks. That's a big deal, because a lot of people didn't think George was going to be 22? There. Yeah, he's a young guy, very young guy, and he's just learning, and he's a sponge. He's just soaking up the game from Tamba Ali, and he got teaching from Frank, took him under the wing, taught him some stuff. So hopefully he's continuously working out with Tamba Ali to learn different hand moves and how to get around the quarterback. You could tell it worked, because George was key in a lot of games this year, and especially in the playoffs. Man, he was all over. So I like George Karlaftis. Like I said, he's just a hard hat. Put my hard hat on and I go to work type guy.
Since he was drafted, man, like he showed up. He's been showing out. He's young.
Yeah,
this is a kid still, but he is learning. He's growing, and he's out hustling everybody. So I'm a fan. Now we just need to get Felix on board.
Yeah, and it was. I think that's a good booster. I know we said the same thing about Sky Moore, him getting a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but Felix getting that sack or tackle for loss in the Super Bowl, that was huge. That was huge. And you could tell that he's got
flashes.
He has flashes. He does, and he has actually some moves, pass rushing moves coming out of K-State. Like, I just think that type of defense that they ran in K-State was kind of awkward. You know what I'm saying? It was a weird defense. You know what I'm saying? So he had to program himself. And he's a young kid too. He's only like 21, 22.
Yeah.
Like, he's young. Like there's still a lot for him to learn. So I expect him to take that next step. There's another kid on this team that I'm interested in seeing. His first step was crazy. That's BJ Thompson.
Talk about Thompson? Yeah.
Yeah. That kid's first step is nasty. Now he can just learn some moves to get around the quick, because sometimes he'll get pushed out of the way.
He's small,
so fast.
Yeah,
he's small guy. He's that's why it was interesting when they drafted him. I was like, he's kind of a Joe Cullen type guy, because Joe Cullen's used to run in that 3-4 system with the defensive linemen. That's why he was in Jacksonville. He ran with Josh Allen and all that stuff, but PJ Thompson kid, they got a little speed off the edge. You can get him in the rotation. Yeah, you get him in the rotation, and maybe you got something with him too. So we'll see. All right, man. You got anything else you want to dive into?
I think we're good for this week, man. This was good. No, one more week. One more week.
So next Tuesday we'll probably do we'll do a draft. We'll do a mock draft next Tuesday.
Gotta love them.
Yeah, we'll do a mock draft and get our little draft board out there. You know what I'm saying? Draft picks out there for the pod and let everybody critique us.
yeah. Let the people hear it.
So, cool. All right, good people. So let's give some shout outs. First, let's give a shout out to Bet Us. If you go to our Twitter page and our YouTube page and you look on the link, you'll see the Bet Us link. You'll see if you're first time better, you know what I'm saying, you want to sign up. This is only for new users. Sign up, put in the promo code JOIN125, get 125% signing bonus for your first bets. That's 3 risk-free bets. So go ahead and sign up with Bet Us and go make you some money. And then I want to give a shout out to Glitch Energy Drink. Pull it up. There you go. Glitch Energy Drink offers a wide range of delicious flavors to suit everyone's taste preferences, whether you're into fruity flavors like Maui Punch and Cherry Bomb or prefer something unique like Blue Smurf and Grenades. There's something for everyone. Glitch Energy Drink is not only great for gamers and workout warriors, but also for everyday people who simply need a boost of energy. It's a healthy choice that you can feel good about. You can find more information and purchase Glitch Energy Drink at glitchenergy.com. Once again, glitchenergy.com. Remember to use the promo code AHChiefPod to get 10% off your purchase and start enjoying the benefits of this delicious and energizing drink. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see the link emqpodcast.com/locker-room. If you go to that link, you see the locker room access of all the podcasts under the Every Morning Quarterback listing. They have a 49er one, they have a Patriots one, they have a Jets one, and they have ours, the Arrowhead Chief Podcast. You click on our banner, you see all of our episodes from recent to the past ones. Also, check them out. They have a podcast themselves on the YouTube channel, and they come up on Twitter too. They talk about everything NFL league wide, and they talk about college football, and they give you betting tips for the week and football and basketball. So go ahead and check them out at Every Morning Quarterback. You can also follow them at EMQ Podcast. Shout out to those guys. And whatever streaming platform you use to listen to your podcast, we're on all of them, from Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Whatever you listen to your podcast on, Arrowhead Chief Podcast is on there. If you're a first-time watcher on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification button. So when we go live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can tap in with us. You can get in the comment section too and talk some of these topics with us. Give us your input. We want to hear from you guys too. So go ahead and subscribe. And whatever social media platform you use, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Threads, whatever you use, Arrowhead Chief Podcast on there. You see right over Ash, it says AH Chief Podcast. Go ahead and follow us. We will follow you back. We're not Hollywood. Joe's not here to say we're Hollywood, but that's okay. But go ahead and follow us. We want to hear from you guys, whether it be feedback, critiques. If you have a Chiefs question or NFL question or a topic that you want to bring up for the show, hit us up, man. And if we like it, if it's within reason, we will shout you out on the show and we will talk about your topic or your question. So shout out to all the people who jumped into the live today, all 39 watchers today. Shout out to y'all. We appreciate y'all, man. And till next Tuesday, the week of the draft, we gone.